So we just got done doing a little training today, sharpening up the skill sets, getting proficient, all that good stuff. If you want to check that out, go over to my Facebook, Jeremiah Babe, or you can go over to Rumble. I'll try to get some stuff up on both of those platforms. In the meantime, Ryan's here. Did a little boxing earlier this morning, and then came up here, did some training at the range, met up with Matt. Ryan wanted to just say something. Ryan works in the precious metals business. He manages a store in the San Diego area, and he just wanted to bring up to everybody's attention, be careful where you're buying your gold, your silver from, your precious metals, because they are coming across fakes. You want to explain?
Yeah, so one of these coins right here is going to be fake. I came across one of the retail stores that I'm at, and it was sold by a reputable online dealer, and the guy had no idea. And I know this dealer, and most of this stuff is good, but even good fakes can slip their way through. So again, I have these silver coin balances just so you can check, make sure everything you get is authentic.
So you can check width, diameter, weight, all that good stuff. I'll put the link down below. Many of you bought those. He's got some more, so check that out. So what's in store this coming week, Matt? What do you see happening in the markets? What do you see happening in the Middle East? Are things going to cool down, or will they escalate?
I mean, you know, the markets are obviously on edge. There was a big sell-off last week. I didn't check the futures yet this afternoon on Sunday. I wouldn't be surprised if we keep having a sell-off. I mean, you know, I did a show last week that not getting the political theater and some distractions. I don't know. Last week I did not impose or did not express confidence for the markets by any means. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this slide continue.
So what are you seeing right now in your business? You see kind of what the pawn shops are seeing, a lot of people coming in, selling to pay for essentials, you were saying.
Yeah, people selling, they need to pay their rent, they need to pay medical bills, they need to pay tuition for their kids, the day-to-day necessities that they're just strapped for cash, and luckily they have some gold and silver to fall back on, or else they'd be out of luck. They'd have to use their credit cards or another form of payment somehow. You
know, we've got Coachella out here this week. It has not been very busy. I've been up and down the freeways. I've been in town. It just seems like a normal weekend. This is the first time over a 10-year period where I've noticed way less traffic. Last week when everybody was going home, I didn't even run into any traffic. And so is this a sign, Matt, that people are getting tapped out on the credit cards, wages are not keeping up with inflation, they're not traveling as much, they're not going to pay $500 for a Motel 6, they don't want to pay $700 for a concert ticket? Is this maybe because there wasn't enough talent here this year, or was there more to it?
You know, I read an article a couple of days ago saying that even the studios, the entertainment companies out of LA just did not come out this year and rent up all these big mansions. People have been buying these parcels up, acreage, putting millions of dollars in for these weekends, Coachella Fest and Stagecoach, and they said that like half of them are sitting empty this year.
That's a good point. Short-term rentals, Airbnb and VRBO, yep. They said we're down 13%. That's
some clients of mine told me get huge premiums. They told me they're barely just getting their basic rent for this.
That's another good point. And if in order to rent your property, you had to lower your rate in order to do it, and yet they were down 13%. So vacancies were way up this year. And so, you know, we see these developments building. Disneyland building this big one over near your house. We're looking at how many homes? 1,800 homes? 1,800 homes.
And the price points are starting at over $2 million for like, you know, under 2,000 square feet or something like that.
Yeah, with a resort, with retail, and we're looking at mortgage rates at over 7.5%. Or around 7.5%, 7.25%. I think they're going to blow past 8%. What do you think these builders right now, Matt? And you deal with some builders. What's going through their heads right now, watching what's happening? The chaos that's happening globally, the credit crisis that's happening, mortgage rates going up, banks tightening, commercial real estate imploding. What is going on?
I've been representing land developers and contractors since the mid-1995 time frame. And I will tell you something about those guys. They are always, the house can literally be on fire and they're going to say, everything's great, we're going to sell, things are going to turn back around. So it's hard to gauge sentiment. I appreciate, positive attitude, but, again, right now it seems to me that unless you're like a Disney, you've got that deep of a pocket where you can roll out something like this huge division master plan community. A lot of my clients have pulled out of California because it's just too expensive to build here. So they've gone on into Texas, Arizona, and some other areas. I think that's even starting to see some slowdown.
And there's other areas out here where I'm seeing a lot of condo development, single-family home development, of course, Disney. There's another big one in Palm Desert that's on hundreds of acres, and I'm just thinking, my goodness, what is going to happen here? This looks so much. That's the thing. This looks so much like 2007, and then all of a sudden it was game over. The movie ended. The tumbleweeds were blowing through the developments. It was concrete pads everywhere, and then they were selling the land for 10 cents on the dollar. I do think this will be much worse than the 2008 crisis. I think that the bubbles are much bigger. We didn't have the commercial real estate implosion, and we just didn't have the amount of debt. People's debt valuations with their properties where they're spending 40-50% of their income on rent or mortgage. How are people going to sustain this?
I know. I dealt with that yesterday. I mean, I had no idea those numbers were so high. I mean, the middle class can no longer afford an average home in most cities across this country.
Yeah, that debt to income ratios are out of sight.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think that's going to get any better. Look, we have more layoffs, right? More people losing their jobs. Right. Employers are pulling back. They're not hiring. They're being much more selective. They're doing all this kind of, in-house kind of pressure firings, right? To get people to move on. Yeah. I don't know. You got minimum wage in California now. What's that going to do to the fast food industry?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to crush it. And I think, just imagine a family of four, this, how much it costs just to go out to eat, to go to lunch. I mean, people are going to have to cut back. They're cutting back now. And I think that, people before, as long as they had access to credit, they would just keep the party going. But now they're going to be forced to make very life-altering decisions because the credit cards are tapped out. They don't have access to the credit like they did. When do the banks say, hey, we're going to have to start cutting these credit limits on people's credit cards because this is out of control? Are we going to see that?
I think you will. You did last time.
Yeah.
And you had someone who owes $4,500 on a $5,000 balance, and they cut their credit line back to what they owe. So they have no more ability to pull any money, yet they're still having to service that debt at 22%.
Right. If they do that to the average person, their lifeline is being cut off. Where does it go from there when they cannot access those credit cards? What happens at that point? They're done.
Yeah, they're done. I mean, you're going to see a meteoric rise in bankruptcies again, I think, across this country.
They're rising.
People's credit scores are going to get even, further in the tank. And it's going to be a long recovery process, probably much longer than the last cycle we had.
You're much younger than us. What are you seeing with the younger folks, some of your friends running up student loan debt, credit card debt, buy now, pay later plans? Are you seeing all this with your own two eyes now?
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly like you said, student loan debt, car debt, just about every type of debt, and then eventually they'll say, oh, I don't care about it now, it doesn't bother me, I can still make my payments. Right. Kind of whatever excuse they can conjure up to give them a reason to keep spending, and pretending like there's nothing wrong.
When it's $1,211 to drive a Ford Mustang for 5 years of financing with 10% down, we're in big trouble. We're in big trouble. I don't know how we've even made it this far. I really don't. But I don't see how this goes on much longer. I'm shocked that it did, but they had to pump trillions of dollars into this, and now they've let the genie out of the bottle, and they're not going to get the genie back in. Jerome Powell has got to raise rates. Jerome Powell has got to cut rates. What does he do? He's screwed either way.
Yeah, but I mean, look, he's going to err. My take is no crystal ball. He's going to err on keeping rates higher for longer. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. But what's the alternative? The alternative is the inflation gets even worse. It's still embedded. What we were told 2 years ago was transitory has turned out to obviously be anything but that. Still embedded in across our country. The prices of things are simply not coming down. The prices of things, I'll put it this way, that we need every day. Yeah. The prices of food, the price of gasoline, the price of insurance, price of utilities, all those kind of things.
Really quick, we're now hearing threats of sanctions on China. Yeah. They've got to be out of their minds if they think they're going to sanction China. Where would all the medicine, where would all the pharmaceuticals come from? Where would all the stuff in those Walmarts, where would all the stuff in the Targets, where would all this stuff come from if we sanction China? I think China I think we need China a lot more than China needs us at this point. But I find that almost hilarious.
And is that going to trigger China dumping its U.S. treasuries? I mean, at what point does China just say, hey, look, I think they're probably already doing that.
Yes.
And we know they're probably behind the run up in the price of gold right now.
Yes.
But I mean, when they start in earnest dumping U.S. treasuries, then what happens?
Well, that's a great point, and we're seeing that right now, and that's why gold is $2,400, because a lot of these countries are dumping treasuries quietly, and what are they doing? They're buying gold. So I think we're going to see more of that, and I think at some point, silver is going to reach a point too, to where it becomes very attractive for somebody to go, $30, $35, that's a good deal. I think silver is probably the most underrated, undervalued asset on planet Earth right now, and maybe even gold to this point, even at $2,400. But I think at some point when people start connecting the dots and realize what's going on behind the scenes, because people can't wait for football, people can't wait for their baseball. They don't want to think about this stuff, but they're going to be forced to think about it because the retirements are being wiped out, their Social Security is being wiped out, the threat of their kids having to go to war. We're on the hook for this $100 billion now, additional $100 billion going over to Ukraine. At some point, people will wake up and realize that their dollars are literally melting away, and there will be a run to real things like gold, like silver, like art, like real estate. But the question is, who at that point will even be able to acquire these things, because people are losing more and more purchasing power daily. U.S. savings rate 3.6%. How do you survive? I mean, think about that. How do you save up for a car, a house, an emergency at 3.6%? I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm very concerned about what's going on. People can say this is negative, doom and gloom, whatever, but I'm doing everything I can to walk the walk and follow this stuff daily. I think everybody needs to be paying more attention to this than baseball and football, because this is going to affect every one of you. It's going to affect your kids, your grandkids. Any last words?
No, I think you summed it up perfectly.
Matt?
Guys, just stay diligent. We talk about it all the time. That's just, watch everything that's going on. Keep your head on a swivel. Practice, self-awareness. We're up here today. I haven't heard one other group of people here on the range today. We've been here for 3.5 hours on a Sunday afternoon. No wind, perfect weather, and no one's here.
And so that's a good way to end it, because look, too many people out there that make these videos talk about the financial collapse, that it's just going to be financial. Oh, there's going to be wonderful sales out there, and they're going to ride off into the sunset, take rental properties, and drive a nice car. It's not going to work out like that. And the worse this economy gets, the worse society will get, the worse crime gets. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see what is going on. We have never seen this kind of violence and chaos taking place. Elderly people being assaulted, little animals, little children. It's a very demonic time, and it's going to get much worse. So you can count all your money. You can dream about all the sales that you're going to acquire all these homes. I hope you do. I wish you the best. But what if it doesn't work out that way? What if somebody knocks your door down? What if somebody wants your food? What if somebody, wants something that you have? What if somebody wants one of your assets? What if somebody wants one of your houses, or somebody in your family and they want to hurt somebody? This is not going to be a walk in the park, ladies and gentlemen. This is not going to be 1929. It's not going to be 2008. This is going to be something entirely different. And unfortunately, the majority of this country is not prepared for what is coming. And when it hits, these are the people that will be knocking at your door. They're coming to your house, your door for help. I can't answer the question of what you're going to do if that day arises, but be prepared for that, because this is going to be a much different animal we're going to be dealing with than 2008 or the Great Depression. God bless.
Hey, I got to put a plug in.
Go ahead.
Guys, come check out Ox Talks. I was fortunate enough to have JB on the show today. We're going to talk about a few different things, but same kind of topic here from the range. So go check out Ox Talks. Appreciate all you.